Good evening, I'm David Evans, and already a couple people asked, how can you do this since you're a judge and the judicial canons don't let you support somebody in public? And that's true. I'm not here to advocate for any one of these candidates. I was thrilled when Chuck sent me an email and asked if I would come and do this to provide background information about the candidates for the high courts. You know that Texas... Sorry. Thank you. You know that Texas has two Supreme Courts, is a way to think of it. We have the Texas Supreme Court, which is civil, everything that's not criminal, and we have the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. That is our Supreme Court of criminal cases. I'm on an intermediate, one of 14 intermediate courts of appeals, meaning we're above the trial courts, the appeals come to us, and the people unhappy with our decisions go to one of these two courts, Texas Supreme Court or Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, and we are going to talk tonight about the contested primary races, which are all in the Republican Party for those two courts. There's three in each of the courts. Texas Supreme Court, the Chief Justice race is a contested primary. Chief Justice Nathan Hecht is the incumbent. Robert Tarlton has filed to run against the chief. In every one of these, except one person who doesn't have a website, I will give you the website, and I have attempted to email this in PDF to Chuck so that it could be sent out. And so don't write the website down. I think you'll get this, and you could then go to their websites. All right, so Chief Justice Hecht was elected to the Texas Supreme Court in 1988 and has been re-elected in 1994, 2000, 2006, 2012. He is the longest serving member of the Texas Supreme Court ever. He was appointed to be the Chief Justice in 2013. He was a justice for all those other years, appointed by our governor to be Chief Justice 2013, sworn in by Justice Antonin Scalia of the U.S. Supreme Court. It was a massive ceremony. Hundreds of us judges from around the state and legislators, senators, and representatives came to see U.S. Justice Antonin Scalia swear in Nathan Hecht to be the Chief Justice. Before he was on the Texas Supreme Court, he served on the 5th Court of Appeals, which is the court that I'm on, and before that, he was judge in the 95th District Court in Dallas County. He was, shame on him, he was number 2 in his class at Yale University, honors in philosophy, but he was number 1 in his class at SMU Law School, cum laude, and a law clerk at the U.S. Court of Appeals in D.C. So he's very brilliant. SMU School of Law Distinguished Alumni, other things you might be interested, Lieutenant, U.S. Naval Reserve JAG Corps, Cornerstone Christian Church elder and teacher, pianist. I didn't realize he was a pianist till the swearing in, but I knew of his deep faith because when I was in the Bible study in law school, Judge Hecht, then he was judge of the 95th, came and taught a lesson to those of us who were law students, and it was really, I still remember it and sent him an email reminding him of that right before he was sworn in as chief. He's been endorsed by Kelly Shackelford, David Barton, Texans for Fiscal Responsibility. You all may have gotten the mailer on that this week. Notice it only has the Supreme Court. It doesn't have Texas Court of Criminal Appeals on it. Texas Homeschool Coalition, Texas Right to Life, Texas Alliance for Life, the Dallas Morning News, and a zillion of other endorsements. You need to go to the website. If that isn't enough for you, go look. Robert Tarlton has a website. He's practiced for 26 years in Pasadena. He's been married to Sue for 44 years, 2 children and 5 grandchildren, U.S. Air Force reservist, began his career as a police officer, then a municipal judge. He was a Texas State Representative for 8 terms, 16 years, in House District 144, left office to run unsuccessfully for Congress in 2008, campaigned last year for the Harris County attorney position and did not win that. While a state representative for 8 terms, he was vice chair and member of the Texas House of Committee on Criminal Jurisprudence, chairman of the Urban Affairs Committee, member of the Committee on Civil Practice and Remedies. Those are fairly significant things, is what he's trying to tell you on his website. And I give him great credit. He was Republican precinct chair for 6 years, and that is grueling, as those of you who are and who are active in it. And with Harris County Republican Party General Counsel. Political parties, like everybody else, need legal counsel when problems come up. Here, I'm not going to go through this, but here's all the different things that he's done. These are part-time positions, I believe, because you'll see there's overlap. That isn't a mistake on his part, nor a misrepresentation. Many city attorneys and municipal judge positions are part-time. He's done a lot in a couple, basically in Port Arthur, Pasadena, and the city of South Houston down there in Harris County. Endorsements, conservative Republicans of Harris County, conservative Republicans of Texas, Harris County GOP. You can imagine they would. He's their general counsel. Kathy Adams of Texas Eagle Forum, Rick Scarborough, Honorable Alan Fletcher, State Representative of 130, Harris County Deputy Sheriff's Organization. Remember, they're running for a civil court on this one. It's not clear to me that Steve Hotze has or has not endorsed him. I simply looked, and Mr. Tarlton does not say he does. I found another website, it was one of the responses in my Google search, and it indicated that Mr. Hotze has endorsed candidates against Justice Hecht and Justice Phil Johnson, we're going to talk to in a minute, because Hotze's brother Bruce lost a case in the Supreme Court. But I give Tarlton credit that he doesn't list Hotze's endorsement. Hotze's very important in Houston, and Tarlton doesn't list that, maybe because he wants to distance himself from what he might perceive to be a problem. All right, so that's those two. That's Justice Hecht, Chief Justice Hecht, and Mr. Tarlton. The next place is Justice on the Supreme Court, place 6, Justice Jeff Brown, the incumbent, and Joe Poole. This might be the best judicial website I've ever seen, and it clued me in that probably part of what I should do is just tell you all some of the things they say about themselves right off the bat. The first thing he says is, quote, "I believe in a loving God, the U.S. Constitution, the rule of law, America, exceptionalism, and traditional Texas values, period," close quote. He was appointed justice by our governor in 2013 to the Texas Supreme Court, sworn in that same swearing-in ceremony I mentioned to you. He was a justice on the 14th Court of Appeals. Houston has 2 identical size, identical territory courts of appeals for a reason I don't know, and it doesn't matter. He was on the 14th and served there from 2007 to 2013. He was a trial judge, 55th District Court, Harris County for 6 years, 2001 through 2007. Wife of 21 years. She's a school teacher. They live in Southwest Houston. 3 children. They go to a Methodist church. Son of a longtime police officer. He had a police ward. His undergraduate was UT Austin, University of Houston School of Law, and he was editor of the Houston Law Review. He's been in some of his history, briefing attorney for Greg Abbott when Greg was a Texas Supreme Court justice, also for Jack Hightower as a justice, and a number of things that he has done. I'm going to skip past those. We've just got to move. More things, he's involved in some scouts and some other stuff, and I'm going to skip past that. Endorsements, Rick Perry, Senator John Cornyn, numerous former colleagues, State Senator Joan Huffman, former State Rep Rick Green, Dr. Joseph Graham. Now this is interesting, both Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst and State Senator Dan Patrick have endorsed him. That's getting 2 people on the same page, I would guess. State Representative Brian Hughes, who many of you know, very wonderful person, Dallas Morning News. Like Justice Hecht's website, zillions of endorsements. If you want to see more, you need to go. First statements on Joe Poole's website. Quote, Joe's father was Texas's last congressman at large for the whole state and brought to the state Guadalupe Peak National Park and South Padre National Seashore. Joe Poole Lake in Dallas is named in his honor. In 2012, Joe ran against Supreme Court and for the Supreme Court, despite heavily outspent 29% of the vote, but missed the runoff, and so it says that he then endorsed and went to work on his own personal nickel for John Devine that he might win. Lives on his ranch in Dripping Springs, wife of 31 years, 2 sons. member also of the Methodist Church, not the same one. Fifth generation Texan, he's very proud of this on his website. He has a huge paragraph about St. Stephen's Episcopal High School, and his two sons went there. Worked his way through UT undergrad as a real estate broker, UT Law School, 1980. Masters of Professional Accounting, which means he has a master's in CPA. His practice is fairly diverse, corporations, family, probate. He is part of an oil and gas company right now, and he's got this rate patent company going. So this is on his website in more than one place. He wants you to know that he has sued Steve Ministeri, the head of the Republican Party of Texas, and the Republican Party of Texas, seeking to knock Jeff Brown off the ballot, claiming that there were some mistakes in the notarization on Jeff's petitions. Not only the way this works in an election contest case, it first gets presented to the chairman of the party or the chairman of the county, who has to agree and take the person off the ballot or disagree. The next step is the person sues the chairman, here Steve Ministeri. And so you have Republican Steve Ministeri disagreeing with Joe Poole. It goes to a Democrat district judge in Austin who disagreed with Joe Poole about all this and denied the relief of removing Jeff Brown from the ballot. But he is morally certain he's right, and it's like a crusade on his website. Place 8, Justice Phil Johnson versus Sharon McAllister. I apologize, I'm coughing from time to time, so I'm sucking on this cough drop. Justice Phil Johnson was appointed in 2005 and has served continuously since then. He was Chief Justice of the 7th Court of Appeals in Amarillo for a short time, about 5 years, and before that, for about another 5 years, was a justice on the Amarillo Court of Appeals. So he's a West Texas person. U.S. Air Force, I moved this all the way up. I had this lower down. I thought, this is good enough. I put this right here, U.S. Air Force. He piloted fighter bombers in Vietnam. He instructed students after that. He was awarded the Silver Star, the Distinguished Flying Cross twice, the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry, and multiple air medals. He was honorably discharged as a captain. That says a lot. Married to Carla Jean Johnson. Yeah, that's a good West Texas name, Carla Jean Johnson. 5 children, law practice in Lubbock since 1975, undergraduate at Texas Tech. It was between undergraduate at Texas Tech and law school at Texas Tech that he did his military service. Then came back, went back to school, graded onto the Law Review, which is prestigious. Justice Sharon McAllister is a justice on one of the courts of appeals down there, 14th Court of Appeals. So the old court of one of our other justices we just had run through, I did a lot of quotes from her website. I'm going to move over here so I can read it. She begins right off the bat. Values. A strong Republican with conservative values. Judges should not legislate, only uphold the laws based on the Texas and the United States constitutions. This is what you should expect in a Texas Supreme Court justice. Sharon McAllister is a true Texan, born and raised in Dallas, attended the Hockaday School. She brings a woman's perspective, youngest of 3 girls, mother of 1 daughter, woman of true family values, grounded understanding of women's issues. I will note that I did not find anywhere on her website where she mentioned a husband, and it could well be that he simply divorced her or something. She provides award-winning experience. Now, this is from her website in her own words. She provides award-winning experience. In 2009, the Texas Association of Trial Appellate Specialists named McCauley Trial Judge of the Year. She has proven her skills to constituents who elected her over a governor-appointed incumbent in 2004. That would be a Rick Perry governor-appointed trial judge, and she ran against that appointed judge and beat him. She's telling you on her website, and a 14-year incumbent in 2010. That was the 14th Court of Appeals that she had moved up to. She's 35 years legal and judicial experience, clerked for a U.S. District Court. And this is interesting because several times on her website she makes this same mistake. Serving the public as a justice for the 14th Federal Court of Appeals. no doubt somebody working her website made the mistake, but she didn't prove it. First of all, there is no 14th Federal Court of Appeals. There's only 11 of them. And second of all, she was on the 14th Court of Appeals, which is a state court of appeals. And she also served on the 334th State Civil District Court. I gotta get it to turn. Did I turn it off now? There we go. She says she protects cost and takes credit for electronic filing, which has now gone statewide at the mandate of the Texas Supreme Court. She says she returns constitutional restraint to the judiciary. I've got to keep moving. That's a part of her background, BA in English, Southern Methodist University. She worked in her family's mechanical contracting business before going to law school, went to South Texas College of Law in Houston, and she was a mass tort litigation lawyer before she became a judge. She has that on her website. Now, this is the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, and for all of you who are a little mystified or a little bored, why is this court that important to me? I don't commit any crimes. Nobody in my family has committed any crimes. All right, so our court issued an opinion a month or so ago in which, under our procedures based on what we were doing in the opinion, it had to circulate and everybody had to pass on this opinion. And in the opinion, we held that a man in Dallas could not be convicted of, as the jury had and as the DA had tried him, of illegally open carrying a handgun on the place where he was, because it was on the common area of a condominium, and he owned one of the condominiums and owned an undivided fractional interest in those premises. So in essence, he's standing on his own property, although he has strapped on a sidearm. And they have a lot of crime apparently, and the head of the association testified for him at trial. That case now has gone to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, and it has granted review on 2 issues, each of which relates to whether a person can be guilty if they only own a fractional interest in a piece of property. Okay, remember when Abraham negotiated with God to save Lot? And he started at 50, 45, 40, and he works down to 5, and then how about 1? I think he actually ended at 2, and he left the implication for God that it was just a lot over there. All right, so what about 50 people who own, 50 guys who own a hunting lease together, and they're walking around on the hunting lease, and some of them have a sidearm strapped on? Are they guilty of this? What about 4 people who own a business? They jointly own the property, and they're auto mechanic or whatever, and one of them is on the premise, but he only owns a 4th of it. What about a husband and wife, and the husband has a gun strapped on, and the police don't like it? Where is the line? So that's why you care about who's on this court. We drew the line that, and again, I'm not speaking out of turn, it doesn't violate the ethics to tell you a public ruling already made by a court. And our ruling was, you own a 1/50th or 1/100th interest in the common areas, and you're on your property, an undivided interest. So you care, whether you know it or not, you care about who these justices are, who these judges are on the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. The first there's 3 of these, just like there were 3 races in the civil. Place 3, Bert Richardson versus Judge Barbara Walter. My updated slides didn't get through. Both are trial judges, and so I apologize to both of them that on that slide I didn't say judges. I have consistently for others. So what Judge Bert Richardson comes right out of the chute with is, choose only the candidate uniquely qualified with board certification in criminal law and with appellate and trial experience at state and federal levels. He was judge of the 379th District Court in Bexar County. He lives in San Antonio, wife of 25 years, 1 son. He's appointed by the senior judge now, and he rides kind of circuit from Del Rio and Austin to El Paso. He gives his prosecution experience, U.S. attorney, appellate experience in state and federal court. Remember, he's running for the highest appellate court in criminal cases. You would want appellate experience. Endorsements, Austin Police Association, Combined Law Enforcement Association of Texas, CLEAT. This is the first one we're coming to with CLEAT. I'm only going to say it as CLEAT, but it's really important for the criminal judges running because it's statewide law enforcement. And when they can get decided, so they can't in every race, but when they do, it's their association statewide saying that they're for somebody. Dallas Police Association, Houston Police Officer Association, Conservative Republicans of Texas, Sea Club of Houston. Judge Barbara Walter comes right out of the box. She's the most experienced candidate for the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, place 3, meaning this race. 27 years judicial experience. She tells what it is. District Judge, 51st District Court, 1993 to present. Associate and Family Law Judge, 1987 to 1993. Been licensed 37 years. First woman, first Republican elected to the 51st District Court. Elected by her fellow judges to various leadership positions. You may not remember her name, but she was the judge who presided over the Warren Jeff's FLDS trial, where they had about 400 kids, and Warren Jeff ultimately was convicted, and that did stick. Various things with the kids got undone. I'm going to skip down, and if this tells about it, 400 children rescued and stuff like that. I'm going to skip that only because of time. 1992 through current judge of the 51st District Court. That is Cope, Geary, Schleicher, Sterling, and Tom Green counties. I don't know whether you've ever been there or not. I've been to a couple of them, turkey hunting. They are very rural counties. She is a very tough West Texas woman. She's married to a radiologist who practices in San Angelo. Her endorsements: Sea Club of Houston, Dallas Morning News, DFW Conservative Voters, Texas Patriots PAC, United Republicans of Harris County. All right, the next race is place 4. Kevin, this is a 3-person race, but Richard Dean Davis doesn't have a website and didn't show up for his Dallas Morning News interview and things like that. I guess I don't know, but he's put his name on the ballot, and no one knows if he's doing anything else. So we're going to talk about Kevin Patrick Geary, Jannie Jo Wood, and Richard Dean Davis. There is, by the way, a Richard D. Davis in Collin County, but this address it's not his address. I checked that out, and I don't think it's the same person. So, Kevin Patrick Geary. Kevin began his career as a briefing attorney at the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. He has practiced before that court for most of his 22-year career, both as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney. His cases at the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals have resulted in opinions that made a significant difference. Lifelong Republican. He underlines and bolds real conservative. That's his emphasis, not mine. I'm quoting right from his website. Law should be written by the legislature, not the courts. Judge's duty to follow the law, not make it. 7th generation Texan, so he's our longest Texan. Everybody brags how long they've been in Texas. Born in Cotulla and raised in Laredo. 1988 English Communication Arts from St. Mary's University, San Antonio. 1991 graduated from St. Mary's Law School. And this is the smartest thing this man ever did in his life. He's been married for 16 years to Susie Basie Geary. She's a UT Med School graduate, pediatrician, practiced in San Antonio since 1998, has a practice, and they have 4 daughters, ages 16, 13, 10, and 4. They're Catholic, and those are some of their Catholic associations. And he talks here about his experience as an appellate prosecutor in Bexar County, Dallas County, and he's also been a defense attorney. I think that's a good thing for somebody to have some years of experience defending people, not just prosecuting them. Teacher and author of published articles, former briefing attorney for the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. His endorsements: Houston Police Officer Association, San Antonio, CLEAT, Texas Patriots, Sea Club, Conservative Republicans. I'm going to turn Bear Red. Must be an I had not heard of the organization. A couple of the candidates have it in there. Spring Branch Republicans, DFW Conservative Voters. I didn't know state executive committee endorsements on others. Many of the other candidates have some, but he's got an outstanding 17 of them, which nobody has 17. So he knows a lot of those people. Senator Donna Campbell has endorsed in District Attorney Carl Darrow and District Attorney Billy Beard. They're in some small counties. Kathy Adams, Bill Crocker, Steve Hotze has endorsed Mr. Geary. Jannie Jo Wood, endorsed by the Dallas, this is right at the front on our website, endorsed by the Dallas Morning News, And then she quotes a part of it, warning, this is the total excerpt that she gives, warning against government overreach by the courts. Wood offers a passionate and energetic approach for correction. And then her next heading, endorsed by the United Republicans of Harris County. And then she has a long paragraph which is all about them and why that endorsement is important, and it doesn't have anything about her. So I omitted all of that. Calls herself a, quote, constitutional conservative. Janie and her husband have 5 children, a son-in-law serving in the U.S. Army in Korea. Her husband's a former Republican county judge, board certified in criminal appellate law. She is currently an attorney in the appellate section of the Harris County Public Defender's Office. The Public Defender's Office is the office that defends indigent defendants charged with a crime. She's handled over a dozen death penalty and writ of habeas corpus. She means by that those are very difficult, and she's doing some of the most difficult appellate work is what she's trying to communicate with those comments. And as I said, Mr. Davis doesn't have a website. On the Texas State GOP website, he's listed as Burnett, Texas. I found a licensed lawyer named him in Burnett, Texas, licensed since November 5th, 1982, private law practice. He's running for the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. He describes to the public on the State Bar's website that he does criminal, family, commercial litigation, and personal injury. And that statement, no discipline action reported, would be true of everybody there. I probably should have just omitted it as though it raised a question. Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, place 9, David Newell versus judge. This is a judge, W.C. Bud Kirkland. By the way, I am dealing with these people in the order in which they're on the state Republican website, and that order is in the order in which they filed their ballots. This is totally up to the candidates as to when they filed their ballots, and I've maintained the same order. This is what David Newell says. When I heard that Judge Cochran was stepping down, I felt that criminal practitioners were losing a unique voice on the highest court in the state for criminal law matters, said David. I believe I can carry on her tradition of blending scholarly insight with practical solutions to the toughest legal issues facing the Court of Criminal Appeals. So he sees himself, if I understand that right, in the same tradition of Judge Kathy Cochran, and so you might want to ask about Judge Kathy Cochran. BA in English, magna cum laude from the University of Houston, JD, University of Texas, board certified criminal law. Wife, Shane Newell is Assistant General Counsel, Baker Botts. Baker Botts is one of the hugest law firms in Dallas, so that would be a very high-paying, prestigious position. That means he's married to a woman who's very bright and very strong personality. Assistant District Attorney in all of these places, as you can see, Harris County, Fort Bend, and he's edited a District Attorney kind of professional publication. Endorsements, Kenda Culpepper, I mentioned her because she's local here out in Rockwall. She's the DA. Chris Daniel in Harris County. He is a Tea Party district clerk down there. Rick Miller, State Representative, District 26. Michelle Smith, State Director, Concerned Women of America. Further endorsements, C Club, CLEAT, Dallas Morning News, Harris County GOP, Houston Police Officers Union, some more. I'm going to skip those. Judge Bud Kirkland comes right out and says his judicial philosophy as judge. Bud Kirkland will work hard to restore and maintain the integrity of the Texas criminal justice system, which has been rocked by recent scandals. He's referring to the several individuals, about 35 so far, who have been proven absolutely innocent by DNA, that they could not have committed the crime that they were convicted of. These are white and black. They're all men, but they're mostly black, but there are definitely. We had in court earlier today one of the white men who was found innocent. About Judge Kirkland, this again, all from his website. Judge Kirkland is the district judge of the, and he has it this way, 2nd, 25th Judicial District Court. It's a typo, it's the 25th, and has 40 years of experience as a jurisdiction attorney and practicing attorney. 40 years, he's a current judge of that court. He makes the same mistake twice in another place on the website. Served 21 years 5 consecutive terms as a district attorney representing Colorado, Guadalupe, Gonzales, and Lavaca counties. Partner in a law firm that he has his name in. Began his career as a briefing attorney on the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, which tells you he was pretty bright and always interested in criminal law. BA, Iowa State University, JD, UT School of Law, and he's been involved in the District and County Attorneys Association. So it shows you he's on the district attorney side of things. Married 39 years to Alice Kirkland. They've got 3 married children, 2 daughters and a son. And the daughters are both lawyers. They both married doctors. Their son became a doctor and married a lawyer. And there are more degrees and more pedigree among his children, of whom he's very proud. And the funniest picture on all of these judicial websites is his family picture, only because they're a bunch of extremely learned eggheads, and they're all they don't look comfortable being in a picture. They know it's for a campaign, and it's like, this is like advertising, and they just don't look comfortable, and to me, they just look cute. And so that's it. I cannot make, under the Code of Judicial Conduct in Texas, any recommendations. You need to evaluate. I tried to pick the mountain peaks out of these websites. Some websites are not much deeper than what I have up there. Most have a lot more information. You may want to ask around to learn what is thought of some of these people in order to make your decision. I hope this was very helpful, and thank you very much.